you guys along because when Dean Holden joins us, if he's able to get on us, uh, he's going to talk about sort of the pitfalls of minor hockey. And Michael, I saw your, I think it was a Facebook or a Twitter on some of the things that you're promoting, trying to sell, you know, the ethics of the sport and the quality of development with a different concept. So hopefully Dean can get on with us, and if he doesn't, it don't really matter. But Mike, can you, any of you, elaborate on your challenges with the system?
Well, just from my perspective, I think, when you say the system, and I look at like the governing body, right? The people that everybody we depend on for, guidance. I think what's happened is it's become driven by, private hockey enterprise, basically, over, the governing body means less and less because a lot of these organizations aren't following.
There we go.
Any of the recommendations that are there for us to use, right? And I think the research, I know, like in the U.S., the research is unbelievable. The amount of research they put into, what a youth hockey program should look like. But it falls really, especially in our region here in the Northeast, it falls, back
How you doing
to
today, Vince?
back to owners more than anything
I'm
else.
good. But, you wanted your balance. It's 191,776.
Yeah,
Oh, you got to turn your speaker off.
I muted him. I muted him.
Good.
I like that
I don't
power.
have that much money.
I like that power.
Hello, gentlemen.
No, there you go, Pete. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it is the battle of that 98% of our kids are gonna just want to be in a great, fun environment, and we just don't make it. We just don't make it fun. We make it so much work, and the expectations and the unrealistic, gains that I think everybody is expecting, and forget that if we really truly wanted to grow the game, and you wanted hockey for everyone, and you wanted more people participating, and you wanted to make more money as an organization, you would make it so much more recreational and so much more in-house and so much more, there's a reason why like theme parks do so well, right? You don't make really good roller coaster participants and then send them and say, hey, you're so good at doing our roller coaster, you should go to every other theme park and never come back to ours again. They want them in their theme park. They want them in their building all the time. You're on mute, Wally. No. Still, there you go.
I'll jump in here. There, I think the organization, like the way it's organized in the states, and I know every state is a lot different, right? It's not so much of that here, but it started a couple of years ago with these breakaway leagues, and now we're starting to go to where you guys are. Like I told you, how this U13 team had the hand dryers and their own skate sharpeners and all this kind of stuff for basically grade 6, 7 kids. And it's kind of going that way, and the cost is driving kids out of the game so much. It's kind of a scary thing what's happening. Like a $20 stick takes them to make in Sherwood. They charge $350 for it. What's that? 2,000% markup.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. But yeah, so that's my 2 bits worth on that one.
Tom, I'll interject if I could too. Like in my area, everything unfortunately seems to ultimately be a return on investment. Even at the mite level, while those kids are getting started because they're excited about the game, the parents want them involved. They're already looking down the road to what are the steps to get my son or my daughter to a college scholarship, maybe above and beyond that. They're looking for a return on the investment as opposed to what Mike is saying, simply teaching them to love the game. And then in many ways, things sort of begin to take care of themselves in regards to where you might fall in or out. But they push the process so hard that they a lot of them just suck the fun out of it for the kids and themselves too, really, which is the unfortunate part. You're supposed to enjoy things you do with your children, not have them all seem like chores and be so frenetic that there has to be this ultimately return on my investment or else it's a failure. Things didn't work. They're not really willing to take it for what it is.
Yeah, well, now kids don't play the game, they work at the game.
Right.
I think we're all young, we just played the game and the better ones rose to the top. And probably the better ones just rise to the top now anyways. But everybody, that's their goal instead of having fun, like you just said, Peter.
Yeah, no, exactly. You hit it nail on the head there. That's exactly what it is. Just instead of having it fun and all the other benefits that you get out of it, and then maybe you're fortunate to be one of those that rises above. If you do, that's great. If you don't, it can be great too because you had this wonderful experience instead of sort of choking the life out of it along the way.
Well, everybody eventually becomes a beer hockey player anyways. I walk in the rink, we have 6 groups, old guys groups over 55. And I walked in the other day and 3 former NHLers walked to the other side. And we're all playing beer league hockey. So, that's where you end up at the end of the day anyways.
Right.
Well, I'm just trying to get a hold of Dean. I talked to him on the phone. He says he's trying to join. So I just text him a message and hopefully he's the guy that brought this idea up with me. And I think Dean's conversation is going to be the same. Every one of us are the same. I think what I'd like to do is brainstorm the why is it that way? What's the cause behind it? And if you can look at the cause, what can be done about it? And when can it be done? So it's all about, trying to find a solution because I have an idea of what the problem is, but what's the cause of this? What's the grassroots bottom line reason this is happening?
Well, my own feeling is it's not hockey, by the way. I think it's every sport I do. I run a pretty substantial high level lacrosse program, and the parents want the kids to be in a professional atmosphere sooner and sooner and sooner, and I think they value that as success. Like I think everybody, when you see an organization, and again, I work with organizations all over the world, and if you really sat down and did the math, an in-house recreational numbers game is going to make you much more money than the one pro athlete out of the 4,000 that were in your rink produces. And I think that's where, to me, that's where I see it the most is this professionalization, this need for parents to feel value that their kids look like little pros, so therefore they must be developing like pros, is in every sport. It's in soccer, it's in lacrosse, it's in hockey. I think in hockey, it's probably a little bit more exposed only because of the price, like what you're paying. I mean, it's, the highest level lacrosse kid we have right now at the third, fourth grade level, maybe is dumping $2,500 for a season, to go all in. That same hockey kid at CJR or Mid Fairfield or one of these brick kids is paying about $27,000 a year. So imagine your third or fourth grader spending $27,000 a year on hockey, and there's a lot of pressure for return on that, right? I would imagine if you make a brick team when you're a Pee Wee minor, you make the Quebec team, you're pretty much expecting that you're going to get a pro contract. I would say that to a man. There's no doubt that if you surveyed those parents that make the Quebec, tournament, that every one of those, that 98% of those parents feel like that's a pre-ticket to an NHL draft choice. No doubt.
You think maybe it's a human condition too. And I'll just say this because of pickleball. Pickleball, the guys I know, pickleball, they were just, they did it for exercise. Guys are playing pickleball. And now it's got, everybody's ranked. Guys are going to pickleball lessons. Everybody's ranked. You go in tournaments with your own, whatever level you are, and you can go to pickleball tournaments all over North America. And I don't know if it's in Europe too, but I think maybe that's just what us as humans do.
Yeah. But I think if the kids had the choice, the kids don't know. Like, the kids only know what you tell them, right? So an 8-year-old doesn't know they're not playing super elite hockey. I was joking around. I think Wally, I posted it on one of my social media sites. There's a elite prospects tournament down in Tampa, Florida last weekend, and Pete, a couple of teams from our area went down there. One of them was the Connecticut Junior Rangers. Another one was the Westchester Express, which are 20 miles from each other. And they all left school on Wednesday, missed school Thursday, missed school Friday, flew down to Tampa, and Westchester played Connecticut Junior Rangers Thursday morning in the first game of the tournament. 20 miles from each other.
That's the worst thing that happens when you travel.
And to me, these are unforced errors. Like, these are things that we can simply, easily fix and avoid. But the fact that they were down there playing, if I was to interview the 30 parents that were on either bench or on either stands, would have said, well, we needed to do this for exposure, right? For the exposure of our kids. Now, you got to remember something. The Connecticut Junior Rangers is coached by Bob Crawford and Jeff Hamilton. They make a phone call to any prep school in the country, the kids are getting into the school without even getting looked at. If Bob Crawford and Jeff Hamilton call a prep school and say, Mike Benelli you guys see this kid play, he should go to your school, they don't even have to look at the kid. That's in. They're in. If the other coach on the Express team is Bob Thornton. Now, Bob Thornton works with the Org Group. I mean, Pete, you would know how many draft choice, how many pro hockey players has he signed? John Tonelli's agent, an agent to the Stars, all these NHL guys. You're already getting exposure by playing for Bob Thornton. Like, you made his team. You've already gotten the exposure you need, and now you got to go to Dallas and Tampa and Chicago and Alaska to get exposure. I just truly don't. I can't even conceptualize how this is accepted by hockey parents, and I think that's really where and that, in a nutshell, that's where we're at, and it's no longer at 18 years old. Now it's at 6-year-olds.
Mike, I think it's a big part of it, honestly, is just simply marketing. There was a old friend that I had who, and I've told this story before, worked for Procter & Gamble, right? Soaps and all that they sold. And he said the first day that he went there, they put up a picture of a steak on the at that time on the screen, and everyone looked at it and they said, so what are we selling here? What do we got here? And they started talking about the marbling and all that. And they said, no, he went to the next slide, and there was an 8-course meal all laid out with the steak, with the onions, with all the aperitifs, everything you can imagine. And the salesman that was running it said, you sell the sizzle, you don't sell the steak. You sell the sizzle. And that's what people are buying. They're buying the sizzle.
Right. But if you own a rink and you really want to make money, if you own a facility that you need to pay, a $8 million note on, then you wouldn't do this. You would do more in-house recreational. You'd have 300 teams of mediocre hockey players paying a lot of money, because it's not the money. Like where I am here in New York and Connecticut, Fairfield County, New Jersey, it's not the money.
No, I know, but I think one of the things, and this will probably come as a huge surprise, is there's a lot of ego involved in hockey.
No,
I don't know if you knew that, but
I know Tom has a big ego, so I get that from his call. So.
and you're 100%
Hey, you
right.
should have seen my goal Tuesday. night. Switched hands, scored.
Yeah,
While
you're
your mic's
absolutely you're
off.
absolutely right. Load it up with learn to play, learn to skate. You'd make a ton of money, but it wouldn't be sizzle. There'd be no sizzle there.
Well, I'd like to talk about, before I introduce Dean, and I'll get him to tell a bit of his background. Tom, I think you said it in two words. It's human condition. How can you affect that human condition, the ego, the idea that I'm better than you or you're better than me and I'm going to be the best and we live through life better than what? So it's that human condition at the grassroots level. The kids don't know about it, but it's just like racism. They learn it because we breed it. And the idea of having these conversations and complaining, we all know, and we could tell the stories of from our angles in our areas. And to me, the prep school expansion is sort of the first sign of kids going away to have a better chance of getting a scholarship, number one, and to play at the highest level they possibly can. And I have to sort of sanction that because the quality of coaching in associations, elite associations, is not as good as it could be because the governing bodies created certification programs that are rubber stamp checklist programs, and we're not educating coaches about the art of coaching, the emotional intelligence side of coaching, the teaching, the science. That's lacking, and that's our fault. And I say it's the fault of our governing body, but literally, we're the governing body, we're the influencers. Coaches become those people